Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you are all having a great Thursday and are looking to write some code today. So welcome to Dev Chatter. I hope you all enjoyed the intro music. So I guess I will get some brief introduction out of the way. My name is Brendan. I'm on the internet everywhere as Brendonius, so you will catch me in all kinds of places. This is Dev Chatter, where we do a little bit of coding 4 times a week usually. Our main schedule is Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Although this week I am going to make a change to that. We're probably going to stream tomorrow instead of on Saturday. Hey, welcome everyone from the C# Fritz community. You guys will have just seen me in there a bit ago as I was watching that stream. It was a good one. On C# Fritz's stream, we had Scott Hanselman stop by and talk about sort of the transition from ASP.NET's MVC days over to the new ASP.NET Core Razor Pages concept, which was actually quite fun. I've done that transition on one site now myself, and most of the other things I've been doing on ASP.NET Core have started as ASP.NET Core and were not transitions from MVC. So I want to talk a little bit about the code that we are working on. We have been doing a C# bot here for quite a few streams now, and making some improvements to it. Our Twitch bot, I should say our chat bot connects right now only to Twitch, hence why I might call it a Twitch bot. However, we've been building it with the idea that it is going to connect to Discord and probably some other locations as well, whether that be Mixer or wherever, or YouTube. We're not really sure yet. It's unlikely that we're going to do cross streams with Mixer and YouTube, just due to our Twitch affiliate status. Speaking of which, we have a few people that have been asking whether our emotes are out, and they are. I just sent one into chat, so if you are a Twitch person and you want to use some Twitch emotes, we do have those now. So anyway, jumping into our code, the plan for today is to continue on with that bot, and I'm going to bring up our GitHub, which has the issue list that we're working on. And we are going to choose something off of this list and work on it today. Yeah, I will get the bot running. Sorry about that, SQL Mr. Magoo. We'll get the bot running. It will not actually be able to post the emotes because I have not gifted it a sub yet, but I will be gifting it a sub so it can do that. So the bot's now in here. Speaking of the bot, I do want to go ahead and give a shout out to C# Fritz because he is hosting us today. So I'm actually going to let our bot do that. So I just give it the command !SO and type in the name of the streamer who I want to let you guys know about, and it'll post a link in chat for us, letting you know that we like that channel. So if you're not from the C# Fritz community, go ahead and give C# Fritz a follow, as we do appreciate the host. So, okay, so as I said, we're going to take a look at the list of issues and pick one to work on. So taking a look at this, I don't want to connect Discord today, although I do want to do that one soon. I see that we have basic error logging, new follower chat announcement, expected command arguments. That could be an interesting one. And allow a user to add simple commands. I kind of like that one. So let's go with even though it's a good first issue that I marked it, I might want to work on the new follower chat announcement and let people know when that one's there. Yeah, sorry. We have the Shoutout Command locked down. welcome Chicken Man, thanks for following. And anybody who is a regular here probably noticed that I turned down our follower sound. Someone commented about it last time. I really liked it because it's a really exciting moment, you know? Alright, so let's go ahead and start there. So, I'm going to jump over. As I mentioned, right now, since most of our logic is actually inside of C# class libraries, we have very little that's actually in here. So we have this dead simple console app that just spins things up. Our plan is that we're either going to move this to an actual GUI application or switch to the web. That's part of why we did this as a console application for now, was because we don't really care about the front end, so we just kind of start things going and ignore the fact that we even have a front end, since most of the use of our bot is actually through the chat console anyway. So user interaction really isn't by the person running it at this point. So until we want to actually allow the person running the bot to make any adjustments, I didn't worry about the front end. And it's been doing well for us. So the changes I want to make, and shout out if there's anything you guys specifically want to work on here. But I think it would be useful to do... So I have logging in there, but I question whether we should start with logging, because for logging I might want to change how we do it. Now, I guess if we put a wrapper around it, we don't care whether or not we're calling out to a logger that's writing out to the console or writing to a file or calling some external service. But I don't really feel like that's the one I want to work on today. I'm more feeling commands. So let's take a look. So we have the follower command, which I think I named follower, even though I shouldn't have. I'm going to go ahead and change its name right here to the follows command, because that's really what this one is. So let's go ahead and change this. And that should get around and make that adjustment for me everywhere that appears. Although I did a build, and it's not going to like that because I actually have it running here. One of these days I'm going to get around to building 2 instances of this so I can keep a version of the bot running at all times. Okay, so the reason we made that change... Hey, thanks for following, Kasuken. Apologies if I messed up that name. But anyway, the reason that we made that change, I'm going to show you guys how this one is used. So there's one spot where we create a follower command, or well, what was a follower command and is now a follows command, and we actually do that for our shoutout. So our shoutout, as you'll see, there's a couple of interesting points about it right now. So yes, that is correct, Chicken Man. No, that's actually... the fake data is just because we aren't really writing to a database yet, because we haven't decided where we want to actually store anything. So it could be a database, could be, you know, file system, if we wanted to integrate with other applications, because there are a lot of existing Twitch tools that store their data in files, and so if we wanted to integrate with those, we would need to do that. So I just set up this fake data for now, and we're actually running with an in-memory database from Entity Framework Core. So it's all hidden right now, so we're kind of faking it. Anyway, so the shoutout command does a couple of things. So we mentioned that we could shout out C# Fritz. I did that earlier, so I'll do it again. And actually, I'm just going to shout out us for a second. So I do a shout out to DevChatter. The bot gets that command and replies back with this static response saying, hey, yeah, we love DevChatter. You know, go check out their channel, which is pretty fun. What we can also do, though, is... and actually, why don't one of you guys out there, because we had LeChuckor go ahead and try to use the shoutout command, but it doesn't work because you actually have to be a mod. So why don't someone type in, SO and then a name, and we'll see that message that it responds back with. And actually, I'm going to show you guys what I'm seeing, so you can see I am doing chat also. This is another chatbot that exists. Hey, thank you, V. Rittner. Apologize if I pronounced that wrong, but thank you for following. So this is actually what I get to see in the chatbot that I'm using. So thank you, Chicken Man. So that responds back. It does a couple of interesting things. First off, it replied back to you, and it spits back the name of the person that did the command, tells you don't have permission. So yep, SQL Mr. Magoo did the same. So you guys don't have the required permission level to see this. So that's why that responds with that. What I'm going to do now is show you what else it does. So if I just do a shout out without specifying who I want to shout out, it's actually calling out to Twitch, and it is pulling up the list of follows. Hang on a second, I'm going to bring that up onto the screen by going to my channel. And I'm going to toss my channel over here so you guys can see it. And then if we go over to the following section, you'll see that DevChatter actually follows a few other channels. And when we do a shout out and don't specify who we want to do a shout out to, it'll pick from this list. So if I want to add anybody else to the list of channels that we will automatically do a shout out for if we do that command, then that's how I can add them. So speaking of the permissions, I might actually adjust it so that anyone can do a shout out without specifying. Because at that point you're doing a shout out to a curated list that I control, so I'm not too worried if you do a shout out. So I think it's pretty nice that way. And you'll notice that the permission level that is required is actually the mod level permission. So if you are either a mod or the streamer, that'll work. Hey, hello world. Welcome, Lion Stole My Bike. And then the other thing is we're still doing this bit of hackery that I don't even want to get into explaining how that's working, because it's weird. So I'm going to get rid of it before you guys even notice what I was doing. So what we're going to do is we are going to jump over and make something that is kind of like the follows command, but isn't. We're instead going to be working on followers, and I'm going to make myself a new branch while we're doing this. Follower handling. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and commit this rename that we did. Oh, this is yelling at me? Hang on, sorry about this, guys. Oh. Yeah, that's true, I do have that problem. Yeah, I changed a couple of things in my GitHub. We'll see if it lets me do these. That, see, that's funny. I really should clip that. Lion Stole My Bike. A bit of hackery I want to get rid of before you notice, because it is weird. Yeah, that is really a good description of a lot of stuff in software. The number of times that we've all done something really ridiculous that often works too. That's the crazy part. So renaming to follows command. I am actually not sure if it's going to let me get away with this or not. Okay, it did. Good. Alright, cool. Fixed. So the weirdness I did was to resolve an issue with my GitHub that someone mentioned to me yesterday. Yeah. We all do a bit of hackery. So the thing I'm specifically talking about is when I grab this data, so these get follower commands, which I actually should rename to get follows command. What I'm doing here, you'll notice, is I have this lambda expression that's right in here, and then I'm actually storing that in the database with the lambda expression. So that's the absurdity that no one ever commented about. But it works, and we're not complaining about it. So, okay, so we have this follows command. Now, what I want to do is I want to have a message that pops in when someone follows. So that's more of an event. So you'll notice I have this new followers event args that already exists. We knew this was coming, so we've got this. So we actually started on this piece already. And we also have this command handler and subscriber handler, which are the event handling items right now, where one of them is handling the fact that someone did a command that the bot needs to respond to, and the other one is someone subscribed and we want to acknowledge that. Which actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever confirmed that the subscriber one works. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and start on this. So we want a follower command, follower handler. I am smoking something today, guys. So we're going to get this set up, and what we want to do is, for one thing, I'm going to take a look at our subscriber handler. We didn't have any interfaces on that. Okay. So the couple of things I want to do, first off, I need to have access to our chat clients. I know I'm going to need those because the chat clients are who we're going to have to inform when our follower has followed. The other thing is that we are going to need, I kind of want to call them our streams. So this is an iFollower service. On new follower. Hey! Actually, I might inherit from that. See? I told you I'd already started setting some of this up, and I forgot what we had here. So we have this. Oh, cool. I don't even need that piece. That is a piece of junk. Goodbye, follower handler. You no longer get to live. I apparently started on this. That is fantastic. Okay. Let's take a look at where we left this off. See? Go me. So we have a follower service, and we create this. We pass in our API to Twitch, and we pass in our Twitch client settings. Okay, so I think the thought line that we had here is that there would be a follower service for Twitch and any other services where we might have new followers. So even if that included, say, like Twitter, we might want to know about that. Why, that bot still says that? That's really annoying. I'm going to tweak something on the bot while I'm here. Because I just noticed that it was doing it. Inside messaging, automated messaging system, interval triggered message. Oh, yeah, it's still saying the time. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so what I talked about doing was... Okay, so we have get users that we follow, but we also want to be notified when... Hey, yes, we're using TwitchLib. That is awesome. Welcome, Suzuna? Guessing on that name? Yeah, we've had Swifty Spiffy in here a couple of times, so... welcome. Tell me if I'm doing anything crazy, and glad to have you here. So, the TwitchLib API, I took a look at it back when I started the stream, and I was like, oh, that'll actually do a lot of the stuff we want to do, so I thought it was pretty nice. And I figured on stream, if we end up needing something it doesn't have, we can, I guess, take a look and see if we can, you know, help it out, essentially. So, what do we have? It's collection, communities, rooms, subscriptions, teams, users, webhooks. So I want to take a look at what is on here for follow. Yeah, exactly, Suzuna. I was figuring if we ever run into something that's weird, we notice a bug or something like that, we'll probably send a PR. So, and one of the things that I know Swifty pointed out is that there are people working on handling the chat channels that Twitch is adding. So, we'll see. Get user follows by channel, get user follows async, user follows channel async, follow channel async. No, I don't want to do any of those ones. So I am just looking around the API right now. Looking to see where there is an async method for when a user follows. There's got to be one. Yeah, it was mentioned that that was getting added in already, so that was one of the things we brought up, was that we were going to need that at some point. So, let's go take a look. I'm going to jump over to TwitchLib. So, TwitchLib, right here. So this is actually the API that we are, well, I should say this API is the Twitch API class that we have right here. That is actually coming out of the twitchlib.api project. And it's important to have that because Twitch actually has 3 different APIs right now that we're having to work with. So, okay, so I want to look around. There's a follower service. See, that's funny. We have a Twitch follower service. There's a follower service already. And I'm going to take a look at the follower service by attempting to just new one up really quickly. Okay, inside of TwitchLib services, there is a new follower service. It takes in a Twitch API and has some properties for the interval time, which checking once every minute sounds good enough to me as a default. So I think I'm good with that. And I'm assuming that if I don't pass in a client ID, that it's going to use the client ID that's already assigned to my API, and I'm not going to set one. I'm going to store this as a field, and okay, so I set up that follower service there, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that I can probably, on new follower detected, right there, so we are going to do that, create a method for when we get our new followers, and then what I'm going to do is, inside of this method, I want to call our other one. Now, I only want to call our other one if it really exists, so if someone has subscribed to it. Hey, welcome, Scape18, thanks for following. Much appreciated. Hopefully you enjoy the code we're doing today. So I am going to call invoke, but only if that one has been set to something. And I am going to pass in the appropriate API, or the appropriate chat client, which I don't have. That is a problem. I am going to have to pass in our Twitch one here. So I'm going to need to add that. Sounds good. Yeah, I do need to update Suzuna. There was one that came out, I believe this week, the new NuGet package, and I haven't switched us to it yet. But I will probably do that. Might do it off stream. I haven't decided yet. So, hey, welcome Suzuna. Thank you for following. So, I'm going to go ahead and ask for an iChat client. And I guess really at this one we need the Twitch chat client. We know which one we need. So we're going to ask for a Twitch chat client. And it might be that we're really getting passed in an iChat client that is our Twitch client. But we'll see. What did we do for... We did our event handler of that type. We are going to pass in... someone else wants to respond to this. I actually think this is going to be the piece that does the work. So maybe we don't even need the other piece to follow this event. I don't know. We might extract later. I'm going to go the simple route for now. Yeah, I figured there were probably some breaking changes because Swifty talked about having made some pretty significant adjustments, so that's why we haven't upgraded yet. And it might be a thing to do on stream, maybe not. We'll see. Actually, I don't want to do a Twitch chat client, I just remembered. So I'm going to call it an iChat client. And we're going to pass in our message. And we're going to say, welcome, person. Thanks for following. Oh, you know what? That really makes sense that something else is going to want to do this. So I am not going to do a chat client or pass that. Someone else is going to have that. See? See? That's why I didn't have it in here. That's why I didn't have it in here. On new follower. And then we'll pass in the same sender. And we need to create a new follower event args from the other one. And what we are going to do for that is go overload the other one. Yeah, breaking changes happen. I'm actually really glad when systems are willing to do breaking changes every once in a while. Because you really do need them. Otherwise, your system does get kind of cluttered and bad if you're not willing to make them at some point. That is not the extensions I wanted. I wanted the Twitch one. This one. New follower event args on new follower detected args. That's the one. Okay. So I already have an on new follower event args detected .to follower event args, and that works out perfectly. And I'm just going to call this event args. So we can null ref this, so I'm going to do that. So we're going to say, so I'm using the null conditional here, which is just a question mark dot for anybody that hasn't seen that. It's pretty new to C#. What the? Okay. So essentially I'm just going to translate into our language, and the reason we're doing that is because we want to be able to have the same type of response regardless of where we're going to send this message. So this is the follower service that is specific to Twitch as far as we're concerned, and this lets us normalize everything into our own set of event args and not be so closely tied to the Twitch API. And I don't mean like Twitch APIs and the TwitchLib Twitch API. I mean the actual like API and what is involved in Twitch and how that differs from other services. Lion stole my bike. I was just talking about the null conditional. I'm sure you've seen it before. Question mark dot. It's basically any question mark followed by either a dot or open square braces or something like that. And it essentially does null propagation, which is the term for like the programming concept that it does there, and that is that invoke is not really going to happen. This is just going to get treated as a null and basically ignored. So it won't call invoke if onNewFollower is null. And the case where this would be null is because this is an event handler, it means that no one has wired up anything to the event. And since we haven't actually used that event yet, you'll notice there are no references to it listed above it. And I can actually pull this up. No one is using onNewFollower. So what that means is that if we attempted to call this, we would null ref. So, and you'll see a warning about it if I get rid of that question mark there. See, possible null reference exception. So, need to put that back. So, that's how that works. We do that, we never actually use it, but I'll maintain the connection to it by leaving it as one of these, and that'll be a nice approach. Do I run this somewhere? Yes. When we set up the bot, we create our Twitch follower service. We call initialize on it. What does initialize do for it? Okay, so it assigns it in the followers command. Okay. Or I should say the follows command. And then, are we using it anywhere else? We're passing it into our bot already. Yeah, it's a really nice change, Lion Stole My Bike. It makes things way easier. Especially when you get a long line where you were going to have to null check everything along the way. Being able to just, you know, question mark dot this, question mark dot that, question mark dot that. And it's basically where, you know, if it's not set, you want to either do nothing or use a default value. It's good for that. Okay, so we passed in the follower service, which is right here. Does this get used? It does not. That's why it was gray, Brendan. Pay attention. So when we run, we did a publish messages. We connected our chat clients, and then we begin our loop. Which, as I mentioned, the only reason we're doing the loop is just because I didn't want to put a UI on this yet. That piece is going to disappear really quickly. Once we decide to put a UI, once we decide what's on there. Yeah, I think I do sometimes call you Lion. Alright, so I don't know what this method's actually going to do yet, so I'm just going to make a method called foo. And I'll figure out what it does. I like to code that way where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to put this in, I'm going to rename it. Because it is kind of hard to... it's kind of hard to commit something named foo. Null coalescing is also really nice, Suzuna. But that one, null coalescing, I thought was like from C# 3 or something. It's been here for a while, and it's a really nice one. We're actually using it in our commands. I'll pull them up in a second and show you how we've got that set up. And actually, I just realized, so we're taking in an individual follower service right now, but very likely this is going to become a list once we have more than one. So I'm actually going to make a note about that. It is still very nice. Link and lambdas were also really amazing to have. Big fan of those being in there. Yeah, that name's okay. Also from quite a while ago. I also like local functions. I'm not sure if anybody here uses local functions at all. Actually, I could show you a local function in this by just calling this handle follower notifications. Here, I'll do a local function. Let me comment that out for now. Actually, let me... Plus equals, let me see if it'll complete me one. No, it won't. Okay. So I'm going to have it give me the method. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this method, and I'm just going to move it. Whoops. I'm going to break everything. Just hang on while I break everything. So, local functions. So this is new to C#7. You have one local function in TwitchLib. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised you actually have one. They're not something that's common in their usefulness. But what they do, the reason I like a local function, for those of you that don't know what they are, this is now a local function. It works kind of like a lambda. So you'll remember that I always could have made var, this is a method. I'm actually just going to call it this is method. And then I can set it equal to, well, hilariously, I can have it call that one. And I want to make this a func of, what's it return? Nothing. So it's an action. This is a method. Not take 0 arguments. This is an action, sorry. It'll take 0 arguments and it'll work like that. And then I could pass this one, but I need to give it an object sender and those pieces. So I'm going to give it a null and a null, because I can. And now I have this is a method, and I have that. And so that's 2 ways that I can define a function inside of a method like that. So the first one's a lambda, and the second one is a local function. So you'll notice the local function's much more defined. It has a nicer structure, but the other thing that's interesting about it is you'll notice I use it up here, I define it down here, I use it up here. However, if I were to call this inside of this method, so let's just do this. No way this could end poorly, everyone. So this works fine. Sort of. Let me go ahead and make this a func. I'm going to change how this works a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say int I equals 0. Yeah, I'm on a little bit of a tangent, but this is kind of fun, so hopefully you guys like it. So we're going to return I++. And so now this is a method. This is method gets called down here, and that works just fine. So what's it want to do? Oh, it's going to let me make this a local function. So here's what's interesting about this. Because I used this I here, every time I call this, so it's going to actually modify that value. So that same I is going to get adjusted every time this method gets called. So that's really neat, because it really is using this variable here, this I that I've got defined right here, which I'll call in multiple scopes. So essentially this lambda expression has access to this variable, but the other neat thing is because it's called down here, it has it too. So I actually could have used this method down, I could use this here too. So you'll see that I can get it in either one of these spots. So that's part of the reason why you might use a lambda expression. Now here's one of the, a local function. Now here's why you might use it instead of a lambda expression. If I move my lambda down here, hey, welcome, Sinisepetkovic? Oh man, I butchered that, I'm really sorry. I tried. Okay, so the reason this is failing is because the lambda has to get defined before it. So the cool thing is the local function doesn't have to be defined before that, and it lets me write however I like. So that's one of the advantages there. Let me go ahead and make this function again and get back off our tangent. So hopefully you guys thought that was kind of cool. I think it's neat. Local functions are pretty cool. So I'm going to get rid of that. And I am going to make it a local function, because why not, right? It's not the worst thing. There's no reason for it to be a local function other than fun, and it comes out and works the same way regardless. So, yes, learning more about local functions. I will tell you I glossed over a little bit about how they work. They're not exactly the same as Lambda. Underneath the hood, there are some slight differences. So what did Suzuna say? Also, don't know if you know about webhooks or if your bot will be server-side, but for the follows, in my opinion, this would be the preferred way. Yeah, so I do intend to set up the webhooks at some point, and the bot is going to be run server-side at some point, so we are going to set that up. And that's part of the reason why we're building this way, is we are going to, we're keeping this separated. So most of the bot, I'm trying to not have it understand how it's actually doing these connections under the hood, so we can modify that easily. So I have actually looked at that a little bit. And at the moment of polling, the follower service we have works fine with v5. Yes, exactly. So part of the reason I'm not jumping to Helix just yet, Suzuna, is that I know that that is getting modified quite a bit, and I don't want to run into too many points where Helix has not been fully fleshed out. And we also avoid some breaking changes that I know are going to make it in there. So that's part of why we're not jumping on Helix and are still using a bit of v5. And we have until the end of the year to keep using it, but we are going to switch to it, so don't worry about that, everybody. Yeah, so Twitch has a new API that is out, and it is not a superset of the existing functionality. So, we have this, now the challenge here is that I need to in some way indicate which chat client is associated with a follower service, so I can either do that by having the follower service itself know about the chat clients, or I can have the chat clients know about the follower service, or I can create some other kind of object that understands that a system might have one or the other. So essentially creating an object that says where to announce certain types of services information. And so that's, I think, the route we want to go. Yeah, I do know they want to get there, Suzuna. And that's why we intend to switch to Helix at some point. Yeah, a lot of trust there. Okay, sorry, the name of the term one more time when you have a null event handler handled? Lion, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but if you're talking about the null conditional that I was using, yeah, that. So people call that by a lot of different names. Question mark dot. The actual programming concept that's happening there, Lion, is called null propagation. So if you Google for null propagation, that'll talk about it. But the actual C# feature that we're discussing there is a null conditional, unless I'm just being insane. Whoops, nope, that is not what. No. Click on the docs one. Okay, so that's called a null conditional, and so I mentioned that you could do a question mark dot, and essentially that means if customers is null, length is null. And it also works for if you're going to go into a square brace. But the thing I do want to point out here is that so they show this example, but it's not quite perfect. I'm noticing as I'm looking at this example, there's actually a problem with it. So if customers is null, then the returned value is null. If customers is null here, then we return the first item in the if customers is null, we return null. If customers is not null, this is going to return the first item from our array. So that's exactly what we'd expect. This next one, it does if customers is null, we return null. If it's not null, we access the first item. If the first item is null, so that means that you have a null in the array, then it'll return back null for this. If there is a value, then it'll grab the orders and the count, etc., right? Working as normal. The thing I want to point out, so what this question mark dot does not save you on with a square brace, if this index is out of range, the question mark dot will not save you. So you do still need to check those. It does not cover that case. So make sure that you're not out of the bounds of your array when you're doing that. But otherwise, that works really well. And the thing Suzuna mentioned, that I will point out since we're here, the null coalescing operator that was mentioned is this one. And we do use that, so I'm actually going to jump and show you where we're using that in the code. Because we're actually using null conditionals and a null coalescing operator in the same place. And we're doing that in our simple commands, which actually is kind of funny because we did want to talk about this. Wait, simple commands? No, not simple commands. I am smoking something, guys. I don't know what it is, because I don't remember smoking anything. But apparently I am, because I'm jumping around to things that are ridiculous. I didn't mean to go to this one. I meant to go to simple tokens, not simple commands. So, yeah, exactly, Lion. So you're suggesting that you would do, like, you know, my object, and then if my object is null, then use, or I should say object, yeah. If object is null, then use other object. That's correct. So, the example we've got is here. So this code is kind of interesting. I want to point this out. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys can see it nicely and put it on its own line. So this code right here is the interesting one and relevant to what you're talking about. So what we did here is we did a null conditional on arguments. So essentially we're saying as long as arguments isn't null, continue on. And if not, because we're saying that if it was null, then treat everything else as null, basically. That's how our propagation works. It propagates to the rest of the expression here. Then this value that I highlighted here is going to be null. The null coalescing operator says if the left-hand side is null, use the right-hand side instead. So that means we're saying if we ended up with a null, use an empty string. So the next thing that's interesting here is I told you, so arguments is an array. I mentioned that an array, if you do leave the bounds of it, is still going to throw that exception. So null conditional won't save you from that. So that's why what I did was I did an element at or default, which is an IEnumerable extension method. So it's one of the like linky extension methods that we got. And an element at or default 0 is how I get around that. Yeah, so instead of doing a square braces for 0, I do this. Now, if I needed to add access one of the properties off it, then I would, question mark dot and, do that. So just in case, I got back the default value, which is a 0. It's of 0, which would be null. So the default of a string is null. So that's what we were doing there. So let me go ahead and put that back. And zip back down to 100% on my zoom. And you guys should still be able to read that text, but I just wanted to point out that code that we were doing there, because that's how we got around that. So null conditional and a null coalescing, and it made that nice and concise. And as long as you know those two operators, which are not very complicated operators, actually, so hopefully most people like them. Yeah, exactly. It's just like doing a first or default, which would return the same thing. So, yep. That is the idea. Okay. Where was I going in here? Right, we have this right here, and then our event args. So the challenge is that we need the associated chat message. And I think the only way we do that is if the follower service knows about an associated chat client or chat clients. Yeah, there's a lot of new stuff. So, not that I'm here to promote all my courses and everything and my talks, but I actually do talks at conferences, Lion, where literally the talk is, here's the stuff you didn't know is in C# that you should be using. So it's basically like what's the new stuff that's, within the past couple of versions, so you can use it today. And then I usually do like the last 5 to 10 minutes, if I have time, is some cool new stuff that's coming. I don't get anywhere near Montana. I am usually around the Great Lakes area for most of the stuff I do, and I get down to like Kentucky, that kind of area sometimes as well. So that's about as far south as I usually go. I mostly like to drive to the conferences where I talk. Yeah. Well, Montana would be a pretty good drive for me. But I do actually have courses online as well. Those ones, like going to conferences, are not free. But again, I'm not here to promote my stuff, although if people do want to search for it, it's pretty easy. And I do actually have links, I think, on Twitch if you're interested. Anyway, so we want to connect to this. So I think what I want to do is make it so that a follower service always has a list of chat clients that it needs to notify. I think. It seems like we'd want it to. So my thinking is this. I'm going to start writing this class, and we're going to take a look at what we end up with. I'm going to put it inside of streaming for now. So I'm going to call this, Class 1's a great name. Everybody knows what Class 1 does. Perfect domain knowledge ever. I think what I want Class 1 to take in is an iList of iChat clients. So chat clients, but then also an iFollower service. I think. And do I want to also have an associated API? Yeah. That is the challenge with being out there. Luckily, the internet exists, Lion. And that solves all the problems. See, the funny thing is I'm actually in this weird gap between... So, I guess you could say I technically live between Akron, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh, is where I am. So that leaves me in this little zone between them all. So I can get to any of those pretty quickly. But what's funny about it is you'd think, oh, wow, you're in that weird spot. Must not be too many people around. But, like, I mean, I can drive for 10 minutes and get to, like, a half dozen Microsoft MVPs and other people like that are just right around the area. So it's kind of funny. So I think if we have that, we might connect other things. So does a follower service have a set of chat clients? Yep, sounds good. Thank you for stopping by, Suzuna, and appreciate the conversation. It was good. Alright, so I'm going to make this for now. We'll see if we end up needing it, but I'm thinking it makes some sense to have this. And the reason that I want this to exist is I think it makes sense to wrap these together. So followable service, I'm going to call it for now. Followable system. I don't know. I'm not sure on the name of that right now. we'll see. So the reason I'm thinking about this piece is it really feels like we should have something that is combining the Twitch libraries together. Maybe I'm going crazy on that, but I think I might want to do that one. And have this actually be what does this piece, the handle notifications and everything. So essentially getting it out of here and having it live here instead. I'm gonna have this be public void. Oh, I'll just make this public. Public void, handle that. We're inside a core, so we should be able to reference those event args, and then that should work just fine. So we wire into the follower services event, connecting our event. Hey, welcome. That might be Johasoft or Yohasoft. I don't know if that's a soft or a hard J, because I don't know where you're from. But welcome, thank you for following, and I apologize if I messed up your name. That'll be kind of my thing. So what I want to do is for each one of these chat clients that we have, I want to alert the chat client, and I want to say send message, and I'm going to say welcome person, and then I want to say thank you for following. Everyone say, and then I'm going to say hello. So we're going to suggest everybody say hello when they get here, and what we're going to do is we're going to say eventargs dot follower names, but I want to get each one. So hilariously, I am going to nested for each this thing, because I really am calling that many. That is hilarious. That's right, guys. Follower name. Yeah. That didn't get ugly at all. I am going to get this thing out of here. We are not doing... we are no longer doing a local function. That was a terrible idea. I was just doing it mostly as show how it works. Definitely moving that there. It looks way less bad now. I apologize about that. We were just sort of having some fun there, guys. That is a little nicer. Okay, so welcome so-and-so. Thank you for following. Everyone say hello. I think that looks correct to me. So now, what we need to do is make followable systems at the start of our program and say, hey, we should be alerting this set of people. Because I do think it makes some sense that we would want to alert one or more chat clients based on a service being followed. So let's go ahead and jump into our setup bot. So there is an issue that we've got in GitHub, and issue is just what we're doing to track our work, and that issue is to set up our actual dependency injection, which I'm not keen on putting too much effort into because it's mostly just going to work for us if we grab ASP.NET Core or something like that as the place where we really put this. So we'll see. New one of these. Yep. Import the class, please. And I want to pass in the Twitch chat client. Actually, I could pass in the full list, but I'm just going to pass in the Twitch one for now. So I'm going to say Twitch chat client. So... Wait, I asked for an iList? Oh man, I hope I asked for an iList. That's great. Because I think an iList might be able to be an array. And yeah, I'm just going to new one for a second. And then this is the follower service, which I thought was going to be here. Twitch follower service, there it is. So we're going to call that the Twitch system for now, which I don't love a lot just yet. Helps a lot if you do that. Do I really need that? I'm not sure I do, to be honest. It's got that little squiggly, but I don't think I really need it, because it should automatically interpret what it is implicitly. Okay, so the bot has rejoined. Welcome back, bot. Glad to have you here. And I'm going to go ahead and test that it's working by going ahead and calling a lurk command, and it's going just fine. Okay. So that means we didn't break anything. So now since we've wrapped this up, I want to pass in the Twitch system as one of our followable systems. And then we're going to change the type of our called constructor to be one of those. That means in the constructor now it's going to be breaking because the followable service now needs to be a followable system. Not keen on using the word service, so that's part of the reason why we're changing off of that. The word service just comes with too much baggage within this because service is going to be a essentially the word that's used for anything we're going to inject that's part of the system. So any of our services that we use in-app are going to be services. It's a very overloaded word within our community, so I just wanted to avoid that a little bit. So followers, oh, I called it follower, that's fine. So we're just going to tell it to handle these. No, actually, so the only other chat system that is actually connected is the console application itself. So technically, we could communicate with the bot through the chat, through the console application that we're running as LeChuck over there. It actually works hilariously. We're just not using it, so because you guys wouldn't be able to see it, it'd just be on my computer, and that's not any fun. So, yep, but that's how that works. So we're going to call through to that, and actually I'm going to rename this one more time and make it followable, and rename the field as well. So handle follower notification should be getting called now, and when someone follows, it should respond back with that. So let me go ahead and restart the bot, and we'll get that up and running. Okay, so the bot is now back up and running and should respond when someone follows, I hope. That'll be our first test. So hey, if you're in chat and you haven't clicked the follow button and you want to be part of a demo, because who doesn't want to be part of a demo, go ahead and click that follow button, and hopefully the bot will not crash and show a message in chat within 60 seconds after you click it. We'll also get a notification that comes through from Streamlabs, which, by the way, I don't know if I've mentioned, but we are actually running two bots in the chat right now. They're both, I should say, two bots are controlling that DevChatter bot account that you see in chat. One of them is a Streamlabs chat bot, which is actually a very nice chat bot. I've used it for years. It used to be called an Ankh bot, but it was acquired by Streamlabs, and they, of course, branded it under their own name. But I do use it. It is quite nice. We're not necessarily trying to compete with it or make ours way better, but we are trying to be different, unique, fun, and make that go. So hopefully someone will click the follow button and make it post a message. But even though they don't, we're going to go ahead and continue on anyway, because we're here to write code, not to watch people. Hey, okay. Thank you, bwood05. Let's see if your demo works. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. So we now have 60 seconds. We'll keep writing code while we wait to see if that works. Hey, welcome. Thank you for following. Hey, it's Malachi. I know you. You're from C# Fritz's chat. I talked to you over there. So we'll see if that gets it. So apparently all I had to do was say, hey guys, you should follow. Consuela3, thanks for following. See, everybody wants to be part of the demo. And watch, it won't work. But you guys now want to spam the derp in here. So when it doesn't show that, you can basically laugh because my thing didn't work. Although most of you can't use that. But yeah, that's how that one works. Yeah. Let's see, so... Oh, that's the follow service. Actually gonna work? Nope. RIP. Did it throw an exception? No, it didn't throw an exception. Didn't connect it. Did I not wire it up? I didn't wire it up. That's hilarious. Yeah, see guys, this is why it worked, because I totally called this line of code right here. I said wait, I said on new follower, but did I not start it? Thanks, Consuela3. Yeah, see? Now that's Twitch right there. All you gotta do is make one mistake on stream and you're immediately unfollowed. Okay, so I'm gonna take a look at this. Let's see what we didn't do. We just have something that we didn't wire up. That's all. That's all. So, follower service, on new follow... Okay, so we connected this and said on new followers detected is gonna call that. And then we are invoking that, passing in those parameters when that happens. And that is what we wired up to out there. So that should all be connected. Was there a go method I needed to call? Like start listening? Start service? See? I bet that's it. Yeah, that's funny. I bet I did need to do this. Huh. Yeah, bet that was it. Bet that was it. Let's pull up TwitchLib and take a look. Actually, do they have any examples of that? No. Not in here. Why would they? Why would they? Alright, let's go take a look. Follower service. We won't find it here because this is not the correct library to look in. We're going to jump over to... Which one's it from? Follower service is from twitchlib.services. Oh, it is in this one. Or so it claims. No. Twitch API. Which one has this? I'm just going to search them all real quickly. There we go. Twitch API, follower service. Follower service. Let's take a look at that class. What do we call it? Start service? Downloads recent followers from start services fires on service started event. On service started, invoke. So it does that. Yeah, so I think we have to run this to make the connection. So what we're going to do is this. We aren't going to do that, so we're not running async all the way through, so we're just going to run synchronously for now, and we'll fix that later. The next thing I want to do is, so I can wire this up. It's not gonna, it doesn't matter that I'm wiring it up now before it's necessarily connected, which it should be connected anyway, but I'm not too worried about it. We don't care about the connected event firing, we just need to do this, and then I think that'll get it started. Let's find out. So, in case we do throw an exception, I am going to run this with debug mode, and we'll see what happens. And it is unable to do that, disconnected clients. What now? Oh, thanks. Ah, right, yes, I can't do that. Okay. Why is my brain not working, guys? Wait. There we go. One or more errors, blah blah blah. Use set channel by name. Let's take a look. What does follow service not like? Channel data must be set before we are doing that. Oh, did I pass in the wrong one? Let's take a look. I'm betting I passed in the wrong one because I made two. Twitch follower settings, and I passed in this, but I don't actually want to make a new chat client. I want to use the same chat client twice. So I'm going to replace both occurrences of that with the Twitch chat client, which you will use right here. The Twitch follower service should be using the Twitch API, which passes in the Twitch settings. And that should work. Let me run it again, see if we get the same error. We do. It wants me to set by channel name or set by channel ID. So before starting the follower service, so let's go to the follower service, which is going to be started inside of here. Let's see, was it on this method? No. So before we do that, we are going to follower service dot set channel by name settings dot Twitch channel, which I guess the API didn't do, so we're going to set channel by name and call that. Yep, doing that right now, SQL Mr. Magoo, thanks. Okay, there we go. So the bot's back in here. Might work now. We'll find out when someone follows. So I'm going to go ahead and do a commit here, adding follower notification through TwitchLib. So we are wired up to that now, and we'll see what happens when the next follow comes in. I don't think it'll be terribly long before we get someone to click that nice follow button and test it again. So if you want to make me look like an idiot like a bunch of people did a minute ago when my demo didn't work, now is the time to click the follow button, and we'll all get a good laugh. And yeah. So while we wait for that, let's take a look at some of the other code we've got, because we can do a little bit of cleanup here. So where is the stuff we created that we aren't necessarily using? So we did Twitch client connections. This is a TwitchLib follower service, which actually can be read-only. So we're going to make that read-only. I could inline that, but I'm not going to. And I like keeping it there so that I can access it. There's no reason not to. We want to keep it alive because we are connected to its events. so I like being able to connect to it from elsewhere. Let's get rid of that. New follower event args, nice and simple. I like that. My follower service, nice and simple. A followable system lets us set up multiple ones. So my thought is that we'll probably connect to Twitter or other things like that so that we can have those as well. And the bot is a mod in here, so you'll remember that I have a send message inside of this nested for each loop. So if the bot does need to send 4 messages into chat because 4 people follow at the same time, that's also fine. Should not be a problem with that. Let's see, we have data item. So on our next stream, which actually I do want to mention because I just looked at model here, my intention is to give us a real database. So right now we are connected to an in-memory database from EF Core. So you'll see that I'm doing in-memory, and so what that means is every time this application starts, it actually spins up a database for us and just uses that while we're in memory. So there isn't really a back-end database to this, but my plan is to connect us a database at the next one. Not sure what we're going to do, but we are going to connect it with Entity Framework, so we will be able to handle that. Handler follower notifications. Did I call this, do you mean? I call it right here. Or are you talking about something in TwitchLib SQL, Mr. Magoo? So I do call it. It wires up. Yeah, there's one reference to it. I mean, no one has clicked follow yet, so since we made an adjustment that we think will work. Hey! Thank you for the sub, Crimson Green. Enjoy the hype emote. Yep, there it is. Hype, hype, hype. Hey, it works! Jester98X, thank you for the follow. So there's the bot responding back with our follow notification. So it does work. Hey everybody, make sure you say hello. And did that notification come in well before the alert one? Yeah. Yeah, I really like our new hype emote. For those of you that haven't seen it, it is pretty cool. It's in there in the Twitch chat. If you aren't running actually in Twitch right now, so you can't see it, I will toss it up on screen here really quickly, just so you guys can see what it looks like. But it is a nice little emote that anybody that subscribes to the channel does get access to. So I will spam it a couple of times. And toss this on screen so you guys can see. That little hype emote is our channel hype, so whenever we do something cool, like see our following stuff work, it is a good time to spam hype into chat. So, good stuff. Glad that works. So, thank you everybody for helping to test that stuff. So the next thing we need to do, you'll also notice, guys, not only did we do our follow notification, but our sub notification worked as well, so you'll see that the dev chatter bot actually said hi to Crimson Green here, so I'm tossing this on screen so you guys can see. It says, "Welcome Crimson Green, you are awesome, thank you for subscribing." And then we also welcomed Jester98X, so that stuff works. So a couple of things I do want to mention. I'm going to let the bot tell you about this, but we are... all this code is available on GitHub, and we have additional discussions outside. I'm not wrapping up right now. But I do want to get a couple of links in there. So I posted a couple of links in chat, and by that I mean the bot did it for us. The GitHub, so github.com/devchatter is where you can go if you do want to take a look at any of this code. And the other thing that we want to have in there is I posted a link to our Discord. So if you do want to have discussions outside of the time that we're actually streaming and talk with other devs that are interested in the same things we are here, that is a good place to do it, is our Discord. So feel free to join either or both of those. Send us pull requests on GitHub, issues, look at the code, fork it, whatever you want to do. And Sushinator, you are correct. Yes, spamming the chat is not always a good thing, but, you know, like, spamming the chat for, you know, hype, celebration, we're excited, you know, that we do the thing. But yeah, you're right. Most of the time we like the chat to be for discussion and talking about what code we want to do. So, excited stuff is still good, though. Welcome, thank you for following. Please make sure to say hello. So, awesome. So that piece works. In this case, we are definitely going to do a commit, because we do not want to skip that one. And actually, we already did the commit. So, yeah, so I'm going to push that up to GitHub, and we're going to do a pull request on that, because why wouldn't we do a pull request? So, let's see, add follower notifications. And so you guys can see what I'm doing. I am going to pull up GitHub, and we will jump over to dev chatter. So I mentioned to you that we had dev chatter. That's where it is. This is our chatbot. I just sent in this pull request, so we have access to it right here. We have a few commits, a few files changed. Let's take a look at these, make sure we didn't do anything crazy. So, followable system, you'll notice we have one, and I have this comment here that lets us know that this is eventually going to be multiples. We have our main bot right here, we assign it, we call through to the handler, that's fine. I'm not terribly worried about that new line existing. Not enough to fix it, at least. Hey, thank you, end of file 78, thank you for following. Which actually makes me want to look, did the bot welcome you? Yes, it did. Nice. So our bot is working perfectly. So that is the renaming of the follows stuff to be about follows, which we wanted to do because we thought it was important to distinguish these, so that's why that's part of this pull request. We don't want to get follows and follower confused. Let's see, we added our follower service, TwitchLib services, and added follower services to the Twitch follower service. Are we still using that? Yes, we are. That is the start, wait, full name, get channel by name. That is the rename of that still. And then this one is extracting out and passing in our parameters. So this is our poor man's dependency injection. That looks good to me, so I am going to merge this in for now. Nice thing about being the owner, I don't really have to approve it. If we do get some other people that are regular committers to our dev chatter bot, I will probably just be waiting for someone's approval before I do the merge. That message I think is good enough. And I think we had an issue for this. Let's take a look. New follower chat announcement right here, so that's number 18. And some of the, yep, so that looks like it does it. I want to add a thing about this. I want to say this resolves, oops, what did I say, 18? Let's see if that gets it. Not sure if that's actually going to resolve the issue or not, but we'll take a look. And I always delete branches when I'm done with it. The reason being that I don't really want that branch to continue existing. If I need to, I will make a new branch. Okay, so it didn't close it out. Probably I needed to get it on the actual item there. But I will still close this issue because it has been resolved. And it is, you'll notice because I mentioned the issue here, I mentioned number 18, you'll see that there is a referenced commit for this because I at least got that into the comment. Okay, so that one is working, so nice, hooray. I'm very happy with the result of that. We got that going pretty well. Let's see, so is there anything else we want to jump on here? Add expected command arguments. Okay, so let's pull that up so we can see what I was talking about here. So right now our commands are triggered based on a command word only. So if we take a look at the commands we created, they're over here in fake data. All you have to do is pass in this word and it'll just work. So for example, if I type GitHub and then some gibberish, it recognizes that that was GitHub and ignores all the additional parameters I pass in. And so you guys can see what I did there. I'll toss it on screen really quickly. I sent in this command and the bot responded, and it did what we wanted, but the problem is it's a little weird that it's totally ignoring these, and I kind of feel like the bot should, for a lot of commands, allow there to be what I just did, so you could type a message after the command if you want, but in some cases you might want to distinguish them. So if there are expected other parameters, you might want to use them, and etc. So here's what I'm thinking. On this one specifically, the shoutout one, I kind of want to distinguish between the two circumstances. So I want to have an SO command that just does the basics and takes in the argument. But then I want to have another SO command, or configure that SO command to be special to understand the fact that we're grabbing that randomly selected other person. So for those of you that don't know, if I just do a shoutout command in chat, it'll go grab someone that our dev chatter is following, and that essentially becomes our curated list of people that we want to shout out. So it'll randomly select one, and it actually does an API call for that. Which actually makes me think I want to do a different issue first. So we're going to jump to one different issue, because I think it's important. And if there is a TwitchLib person on here, can you guys let me know? And I might pull it up and take a look, or someone else can. What I'm wondering about is whether the Twitch API in TwitchLib caches or not. Hey, thank you for the lurk, Sushinator. I don't know if you're actually lurking or just testing out the command, but appreciate you using it. Let's see. So, right, user we follow, get random things, follower service, so... Hey, welcome, DevXer. Yep, it's always good to take a break. There's nothing quite like spending your day planning sprints. And by that I mean, I can't think of much worse way to spend my day than just planning the sprint. That'd get really tiring. Okay, so what I want to find out is whether this method, this getUserFollowsAsync in TwitchLib, whether it is going to do any caching or not. Yeah, I figured, Sushinator, but that's good. Yeah, okay, finding requirements that don't exist, that's pretty bad. Spending your whole day in stand-ups, that's pretty bad too. Okay, so get user followers async API, await that, yeah, blah blah blah. We aren't in an async method. So interestingly, so part of the thing I was doing, which I should mention, guys, you'll notice I was avoiding doing async because we hadn't wired async through our whole app yet. One of these days I do want to go all the way down to the base and do that, because you are actually now allowed to do an async on your main method. As of, like, was it C# 7.1 or 7.2? One of those added in the async main being allowed. So, very nice. So, let's open up users.cs. It's seriously on users.cs? That's funny. Okay, so... Hey, that's funny, see? There's Suzuna and Swifty Spiffy, 2 people we know from in here. Okay, so... So the users class has 2 subclasses, V3, V5, and Helix, is how it was written. So these actually are classes internal to this one. So let's see. So there's... we're looking for get user follows async. Oh yeah, right, this one is on users because it's for this user, who do they follow. So what I'm looking for in here is anything that shows me what it does with these values. So right here, it is getting all the... So this is just some crud at the beginning that does this basic checking of things. I do wonder if we can't simplify that in TwitchLib, actually. API get generic async for that, and I think that is not gonna do anything all that interesting. Hey, welcome Polycipher, you made it. Welcome to the stream. Let's take a look. Get generic async ingest return. No, I don't want return. I want where this actually exists. Where is it, guys? Streams, return, getting a search, follows, subscription, games, user spits, third-party channel. Nope. Last one? Or does it exist somewhere else? There it is, Twitch API. Okay. Get generic, what's it do? It calls through to the URL, deserializes the JSON, and I see nothing in there that looks like... So I don't see anything in here that says to me that this is doing... Hey! Thank you for the host there, Polycipher. Yeah, so I don't see anything in here that is doing any kind of caching on this. I didn't think there would be, because it seemed to me that most likely what we would want to do is, you know, actually call the API when you tell your API that you want to call it. Hey, thank you for the host, DevXer. Appreciate it, everybody. So our rate limiter here, I believe, is the only candidate likely to do this. Yeah, big old host fest here. Okay, so I don't think that rate limiter is actually going to have a cached implementation. Oh yeah, I could just call you dev, except that everyone in here is DevXer. So, probably on the rest of Twitch they call you that. Bypass limiter, time limiter, Twitch API limiter, irate limiter. Okay, so I don't think any of these. So, yeah. Nothing in there looks like it's going to be doing caching. So, that tells me that every time we call this Twitch API, that we're going to actually call the Twitch API, which sucks, by the way. Hey, thanks, Polycipher. Yeah, you are the bit leader quite nicely. Oh, yes, the only real dev. Thank you. Quite good. Yep. So all the commands that are in here, like what Crimson Green just used, like the lurk command, those are all being run through our bot. We do have another one in here, but this is our bot that responds to this stuff. So it's the one we're developing right here that sends these things out. So, and it'll do that. Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is the call that does it. So we have our Twitch API, I believe, wrapped in our Twitch API, no? Twitch follower service? That's the actual Twitch API. I thought we wrapped this. Alright, guys, I'm going to go and find out if we really wrapped this or not. Twitch follower service, no, we didn't. We just called straight through to this thing. That is the actual Twitch API, which means that our follower service, if we're going to do anything, is going to be the one that we're going to want to add the caching to. Which is a strange one, to have caching on this, but I think we can get away with it. Yep. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and... So I could just keep this in memory from the time that we run and figure we're never going to make this adjustment. So let me do this for now. I'm going to make this a field, which I'm just going to do like that with a keyboard shortcut. That'll just turn that into a field for me. So put it up here, you'll notice. And what I want to do is say if user follows is null, then do this. At which point I almost want to make it a property. So essentially then we'll toss this in memory. So since this object already exists for the lifetime of the bot running, that essentially did the caching already, and now we don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and restart the bot. So for a second you guys will not have access to these wonderful commands that I know you're all loving. But don't worry, the bot will say hello when it's back in chat. So bot should be back in chat. Just said hello because it got in there. Have fun, Polycipher. Have a good stream. And yeah, so the bot should be back. Yep, bot is definitely back, and we can call it with some commands. Yes, it would be better with a property. I was just putting that in there to get it started. Hey, thank you for cheering, Polycipher. Much appreciated. My cup is filling up with bits and subs and other fun stuff. So yes, that is basically like the getter property. Hey, thank you for following, Jess Maybe, or Yes Maybe. Yes Maybe? That would be really funny if that's actually Yes Maybe. And more bits flying at the stream. So thank you, Polly. Yeah, so if we set this up as a property, we can essentially do it as a getter property. And what we would do to do that, so this is basically the delayed loading property. And what it does is this. If we take this, toss it up here, and then just say return underscore user follows. Actually, I meant to have a backing field on that. Let me go ahead and give that a capital letter. And oh, you don't want to give me a backing field? Thanks. User follows and underscore user follows. So we're going to say that. And then we can run this down here. And then user follows, and that. Yeah, so you do it as the getter. So actually, I'm noticing that I probably... What are the other properties of this? Followers, total? I don't need that. So I really actually want this piece, I think. Kung Fury Keyboard, welcome. Thanks for following. That is a fun name to say, Kung Fury Keyboard. So an array of user follow is what we've actually got here. So I'm going to do that instead, because that seems nicer than that. So So I'm just going to grab the follows off that, because that seems more like what we should be accessing, because we really just want the collection. We don't need the full thing with the totals and everything. Oh, yeah, sorry. Apologize for that. Yes, maybe. Let me adjust the settings on that. That's actually the other bot that's doing it. The mod tools timed you out. I forget. I do have the basic stuff on there. Minimum caps, that's way too low. You can type way more caps than that in my chat. It's not yes maybe. I figured it was yes maybe. Oh, has maybe? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the number of ways of pronouncing a J, yeah, it's like, depending on the language, yeah, it's like, there's so many, yeah. It's so difficult. You gotta, like, people need to, like, show up and be like, yeah, it's like, my J is pronounced like this. I swear there must be at least 20. Okay, so, okay, yeah. Let's see. But let me make sure you don't get, actually blocked for that many caps, because I do want to allow more than that. So I will allow 24 caps. So there you go. Now someone's going to go try that and actually type in like 24 capital letters and see if they get timed out for a second. Okay. Yeah, so I go by the name Brendonius in most places, and I can tell you it does not get pronounced correctly a lot of the time. Yeah, cheese. Got it. And the way you pronounce cheese is troll, I think. Okay, so one thing, it's doing a little squiggly, so we can actually do a null coalescing operator with this. So essentially what it's going to do is it's actually going to, so the key thing I want to show you here, guys, so the refactoring tool is going to make an adjustment, and I'm going to want you to pay attention to the parentheses it uses, because it's actually kind of a neat trick. So I'm going to let it do its magic here. So, and remember I mentioned parentheses, this is the important thing here. So essentially what we get is we want to return the backing field that we had in our property, but if it's null, we instead want to return the result of the expression to the right side of our null coalescing operator. You'll remember in the beginning of this, if you've been here for a while, that we were using the null coalescing operator and showing how that worked. So if this is null, we return the expression on the right. So the result of the expression on the right is what's inside of these parentheses. Now, the reason it needs to be in these parentheses is because we need the return value of the action we're taking here. So watch, if I remove these, you'll see we get a red squiggly line because see, it says the assignment target must be an assignable variable, property, or indexer. So the problem is we need to wrap this because C# will not allow us to do that because we're doing an assignment. So we need the variable, so essentially because we want the user follows variable to be what we return, we can't really use an assignment statement unless we wrap it. So that's why we have to have the parens around it. So the next thing that it's doing here is actually suggesting that green squiggle right now is saying that we don't need to actually do a getter on this property. What we can do instead, because it's a getter-only property, is we can actually get rid of the whole property structure here and use what's called an expression-bodied member, or an expression-bodied property in this case, but it is an expression-bodied member. And what it's going to allow us to do is essentially do a lambda expression as an assignment to our property. So our property itself will be a lambda expression. So watch what happens when I do this change. So it becomes an expression-bodied property, and we actually just use the little fat arrow, which is the symbol for a lambda expression, and then it puts all of this inside of this as a property now. So this is not a field, this is a property. So this is a getter-only property. This is the field. So that's essentially how that works now. And it's kind of a nice trick. Now in this case, I think it looks kind of ugly because of how far to the right we are. Maybe if I did that, it wouldn't look quite so bad. Not quite so bad. Still doesn't look great. So I think I'm going to back up and go to this because it's a little nicer this way. Yeah, it just wants to make it an expression-bodied property. Yeah. I mean, I can agree, but I think it gets too ugly because we have too complicated a line there. Because this call was already a little complicated. So, but that's just my taste. I don't like, you know, having everything so far to the right. If you like it, you are welcome to write it that way. Okay, so essentially that gets us all we need, which is that we don't want to be calling out to that API every time we need something. So that'll make it a little nicer. Okay, so I am going to commit this, because that's what we do here. We make changes and then we commit them. You make changes and you live with them. If someone knows what movie I'm referencing, I'll be really impressed. Okay, so I am going to commit this change, which is keep the user follows after API call. And yes, if you're wondering why I am using GitHub Desktop, it's not a bad application for doing these commits, but the reason I'm doing it is because I want to have a nice GUI that I can do my diffs on and basic committing, and I do a lot of my other stuff. I usually use the command line for almost everything I do in Git. However, I do like diffing in a tool like this, and the nice thing is that I only use GitHub Desktop for the stream, so if I do any other code on this computer that's not for the stream, I don't have to pull up and wade through any of that when I'm doing the stream. So this is exclusive to stream content. So everything on there is related to dev chatter. So let's go ahead, commit that to a different branch. Branches, we are going to make I guess I'll call it caching. Follows caching. So now the reason I did that is because I didn't pull down the latest master branch yet, and so I'm not 100% that it's the right one. So let me go ahead and fix that, make sure that that's correct. So repository, I'm going to open up a command prompt here. So some stuff might change in the background. So what I'm going to do is check out master, and I'm going to pull just to make sure we're up to date, and then I'm going to check out Benric API. What the? Really? I guess there's the problem with that is it pulls up just a regular command when I pull it up from GitHub Desktop. Okay, so so it seems like master was actually up to date, so I'm going to rewind on and replay on top of that. Okay, should be good. And now the reason I click the publish button on that is because that did a nice wire up of everything and I didn't even have to type anything, but that should have actually pushed everything out the way we wanted it to. Yeah, reloading there, it changed it, but it didn't actually change anything because we're right back to where we started because we left the branch and came back and the files that are open didn't change as it turns out, but I just want to be safe with that. Okay, so that is that piece, and let's go ahead and send that in as a pull request, and we'll get that in there. I think it works. Now that I think about it, I haven't tested it, so let's go ahead and run this. Yeah, Git can definitely mess some stuff up if you're not careful. I think I've mentioned it on stream before, but I actually have done some... I have a Git course on... Pluralsight. It's kind of out of date right now, but it does work. Now that I think about it, I didn't test that it really did use that, so let's, well, nah. I believe that it does. Trust. Don't verify. There's actually no reason we're not using the Microsoft Bot Framework. We just kind of wanted to jump into this and start writing some code. We have looked at it, and I know some other people that have used it, but we were just kind of writing some code, having some fun with it, some C#. So that might be something that we end up connecting to at some point. So, but yeah, that is a good suggestion. But anyway, since we are committed, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that pull request and bring it in. Did we have a cache the API call? We didn't. I did not make a pull request for it, but I will now. API host caching. Keep user follows after API call. That sounds great. That's exactly what we did. Yeah. Yep, that DevXer, I do remember that thing. And that's just the one change, right? Yep, that, and that's a pretty easy one, where user follows select to list. That's funny, we go from array to list after that because we pull the name off that, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and do that merge. I'm going to delete the branch, and actually I'm going to go delete all my local branches too, because I don't like having them sticking around. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly, which I'm not going to do in here, I don't think, because that doesn't sound fun. That's weird. That actually doesn't seem too bad. So what I'm going to do is I am going to open this up in Explorer, and from there I am going to open up git bash. And yes, my computer is called Red Desky, which you guys all now get to see. So I'm going to go ahead and delete and follower handling, which I know we're working. Let's see what's been, yeah, okay. So let's get rid of refactor 2 and token replacements is also merged. Okay, so that should be all of them. What is the remaining branch? Follower handling? Did we not? Thought we got rid of that. You are correct, DevXer. That is the correct question about my Red Desky. The case is actually not red. All of the internal lights are red on this one. So my computer glows red. Even the fans have LEDs in them. So clear fans, red LED lights, and other red lights in there. So this is a distinction from the one that's in another room back there. It is actually the blue Desky, and it has blue lights in it. I know, it's super original. So, yep, okay, so I'm not sure what's in follower handling right now, but I'll take a look at that one later. I don't remember if that was the branch we just used or not. No, it won't contain that, but generate Out of curiosity, does it have it? No, it doesn't. Okay. So I wanted to see which branches already had the head of that branch. So keep in mind, for those of you that don't know, Git is actually, the way I like to explain it is that all these named things like the branch and everything like that, Git's just a bunch of pointers around to different versions of code everywhere. So when I mention, like, master, for example, I mean, in many ways, that's just a pointer to whatever the latest commit is on master. But then, if I check to see, like, does master contain, like, does it contain this? It checks this, it's basically saying, hey, is this pointer in that set? Which is basically like, if that list has this one. So that's basically how these branches work. They're kind of like a linked list, or as some people call it, a linked list. So yeah, so I think that's where we're going to wrap today. We usually like to do a stream that's about 2 hours, so I'm going to wrap up here. I am going to check and see if anybody we follow is live right now. I don't think they are. If one of them was, I would be sending them a host. Hang on while I read this message from Yes Maybe. Had any thoughts about hooking the bot up to the MS Cognitive Services? I was actually going to avoid connecting to the Cognitive Services. So I do know some other people that have made that connection on their bot. I think C# Fritz was doing that. The main reason he was doing it is because he wanted to connect to Cognitive Services to moderate messages. Now, I don't really want to connect and do this for message moderation. I kind of feel like a moderator bot should be different from a bot that does commands and games and things like that. I don't like the idea of them being the same bot. Now, if you're going to do a huge bot, why not connect them and have the same thing? So, sure. That's actually how the Streamlabs bot works. But I feel like a moderator bot ought to be, like, shared by a lot of different streamers. So I think that for that one, it makes sense to have that be, off in the cloud somewhere, and that, is just living out on a website in Azure, and you have it connect to your system. And in fact, I would almost think that, so ours connects as dev chatter bot, but I think it would make a lot of sense to have a named bot that can connect to a lot of people's chat rooms and is pretty consistent. And you could get away with that, or you could have it connect using your bot name if you give it OAuth access to use your bot, for example. It's really up to you, but I like that approach better. That's just me. So since we're not going to do moderation in this, I figured there's not really a huge benefit for us to use the Cognitive Services. So that's part of why we're not doing it. So, yeah. The one thing I will say is we are going to add a web application to this, so there will be an ASP.NET Core web app using Razor Pages. That is probably coming in one of the next streams. I should mention our next stream is actually going to be tomorrow because I'm not going to be able to do the Saturday one. So I am planning on doing a stream tomorrow as a makeup for not being able to do the one on Saturday. It will be probably based on the timing of Saturday, so it's probably going to be an hour later than we started today, but an hour earlier than we normally start. And then the next stream will be on Monday. For anybody that doesn't know, if you are in the Twitch website, go take a look down below, and you will find information to all sorts of things, including our schedule, and it should be translated into whatever your time zone is. So if it's not, then there's a problem with the Streamlabs panel that's down there. So as I said, roll down there. If you're on one of the apps, there's usually an info section is what they call it, and that'll have those. So I wanted to thank everybody for showing up. I want to thank Polycypher for cheering. I want to thank our subscribers who have access to their emotes now. So those are fun. We had a few people subscribe, and then additionally we had a bunch of people follow, so thank you everybody for following, especially if you're one of the ones who followed as part of our demo and helped test our bot's ability to respond to those follows. As you'll notice, the bot was able to respond with follows and subs, which I was really excited about. That was awesome. I want to thank C# Fritz for giving us a host, and we got a few other hosts as well, I think from Polycypher, Crimson Green, and someone else hosted, and I want to make sure I thank you for that. So we are getting a few hosts, and hopefully that means people are coming in and checking out the stream for the first time. So I want to thank all of you for doing that. It really does help us out. Polycypher, DevX, or you're the other one. And let's see. We are going to continue on with our bot, but at some point I want to get back to our soundboard, which is a system tray application that we were writing, which I kind of thought was kind of a neat idea of, like, oh, we'll just open up a system tray application that responds to keyboard shortcuts and plays audio clips based on that, which is a common thing to do on Twitch streams, that you have audio clips playing when stuff happens, so I thought that would be kind of fun. So we did start that. We might continue that as a system tray icon only bit, or we could build that into the bot. I'm not sure yet. But it seems like a fun thing to do. And I mentioned we are going to be doing a web application using ASP.NET Core at some point. One of the main reasons we want to do that is because we want to get an overlay on our stream so that we can have stuff pop up there. And specifically, the piece I want to do with that is achievements, which some of the people that were in here before know that that is part of our plan for the chatbots, is to be able to get those. But that's the goal. And yeah, so thank you everybody for stopping by. Make sure you click the follow button if you haven't already. Check us out on Discord as well. If you want to continue talking to us, that is the great place to do it. I will put the link in chat one more time. But it also should be down below somewhere in that section. And yeah, also check us out on GitHub if you want to contribute. Go ahead and fork any of our projects that we're working on, and we will look forward to seeing what you guys create. And if you do send us a pull request, we will talk about it on stream, so you can get feedback on anything that you put in there. Keeping in mind that we aren't going to hold you to super high standards, so whether you're beginner, intermediate, or an advanced developer, it doesn't matter. Go ahead and send in your stuff anyway, and we will talk about it. So have a great day, everybody, and happy coding.